Welcome to Conscious Conversations, a place where East meets West, a place where conversations and ideas will challenge your minds, expand your consciousness, awaken your heart, and make you think more deeply about yourself and the world.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conscious Conversations. I'm Anthony Profeta here with Wes Gordon. How are you doing today, Wes?
Doing good. Trying to stay cool. It's very hot outside here in Florida.
Well, that's what happens, I think, this time of year. But even the nights are quite humid and hot now. Yes, I agree with you. But glad you're well. It's always good to be talking with you today. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about spiritual relationships. Now, we're not just talking about like a, romantic sort of relationship in that way. We're talking about all relationships in general. We're talking about not only having a good partner, but having a good friend and having really a good family that supports us and encourages us in our spiritual walk, because that's really considered a very important thing on the spiritual path. In fact, all traditions in some way, shape, or form stress really how vital having good friends and good companions on this walk can be. It can either make us or break us as we travel the spiritual path. It becomes really, many of the traditions say, a primary factor in whether we stay on the path or if we begin to fall off or get swayed from the path. It's by those that we have around us and those that we decide to keep sort of in our circle. Now, we are sort of human creatures, and being social is sort of inherent in our nature. That's the way we sort of have survived throughout this world. We're not, I guess you could say, our ability to socialize is our greatest tool, for protection and survival. We can't outrun many predators that would want to make a meal out of us. We don't have a shell that we can sort of like retreat into to protect ourselves. And we don't have wings that we can maybe fly away with. So how we really survived as a species was by coming together and socializing in groups and, tribes and all those sort of things. And it was that interactions and becoming a unit of diverse people that actually enhance the survival of who we are and what we are and how we got to where we are today. And it's no different really in terms of physical survival and well-being, and also the spiritual survival and well-being. The circle that we decide to become a part of becomes very beneficial. In fact, in the Eastern texts, there's a story of one of the disciples of the Buddha, Ananda, who goes to Buddha and says to him, sits down next to him, and he says, "Noble sir, I've come to a realization that half of the spiritual life is having good friends." And the Buddha replies, "No, Ananda, not so. This is all of the spiritual life. Because if someone has a good friend and a good companion to walk this path with, then it is expected that they will live more righteously." And so what is your whole take on spiritual relationships and, this idea of having people to support us and encourage us?
I totally get the concept, and I see where it's extremely essential.
Right.
Essential. It's the quality of those friendships that really make the difference.
Correct. I agree with that.
I've been through some explosive, hellish relationship transitions, because when you start to go into positivity, Anthony Robbins type lifestyles,
right,
people start falling away.
Right.
Some want to be your friends until they get fed up with you being so positive, and then they want to attack you.
I have a friend. We actually, the person I'm referring to, but she goes into work and she's very upbeat and positive all the time. And one employee actually freaked out on her, "Why are you so positive?"
Yeah. So I've experienced the shifting sands of transitioning to quality friendships.
Yes.
And one insight one day came to me very abruptly was, why are my friends, all falling away? And then I realized, well, I'm growing and changing and our interests aren't the same anymore.
Correct.
But then I also heard a voice in the back of my head said, the quality of your relationships is the quality of you towards them.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to become a good friend before you will have friends.
Oh, yeah. And that's a powerful spiritual statement right there. And many of the traditions I can call to mind right now, like Paramahansa Yogananda of the Hindu tradition, St. Francis, they've all said, if you want love, then be loving.
Yeah.
If you want respect, then be respectful. If you want a good friend, then be a good friend.
Yes.
And I'm totally in line with everything you're saying right now. It's not really, having a bunch of people around us, but it's the quality of those people that are around us that's vitally important.
And that's a tricky thing, especially for the male species, in my opinion, because the heart has to be involved.
Right.
You have to really care. You have to extend yourself more than just the social thing that we have in the world today of hi, bye, glad to see you, how you feel, I'm doing great, which none of those statements are usually true, but it's just political PC that we throw at each other.
Right.
But a real friend is someone that you actually engage with and you actually expose yourself
and
to
open
them.
yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a vulnerability.
And you feel, and you feel really connected. I mean, I've met a few people like that in my life, but they're rare. They're like diamonds. It's like I have a friend right now named Ricky Farmer, who's a preacher's son. I could go see him right now, and it'd be like we never left each other.
Right.
In that sense of camaraderie.
Yes.
We're totally different now in the way we live our lives, but I know exactly what you're talking about right now from that.
Right. And the quality also is again, an important key factor in the people we should have around us and the friendships that we make. Because I can also, again, just recall from the Buddhist text, another area where the Buddhist really talks about how it's important about the quality of friendship you have, and because we become the people we associate ourselves with.
Yeah.
And he says, if you have a rotting fish and you wrap it in a banana leaf, that leaf eventually becomes smelly.
Yeah.
And he said, that's what will happen to you, that if you associate with fools, you will become just like them.
Right.
And, going into the Bible itself, they also have many of these things. It says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. So if the quality isn't there, and even in the book of Proverbs, there's so many in Proverbs that I could probably pull from, but a couple of them are, whoever keeps company with the wise becomes wise. Whoever keeps company with fools becomes foolish. As iron sharpens iron, so a good friend can help to sharpen you.
Exactly.
And all of those sort of things. Don't hang out with angry people because you will become infected by them. All of those sort of things are affirming that point of the quality of friendship is extremely important.
Absolutely. Rich Dad Poor Dad has a story of the Okahili crabs.
Okay.
It's a Hawaiian crab that they put in buckets when they capture. And the thing unique about them is you don't have to have a great deep bucket to keep them in there.
Okay.
Because once you have more than one in the bucket, when they try to get out, the other ones pull them back in. That's not the kind of friends you want when you're trying to make positive changes in your life, that they just want to drag you back to their level of misery. You want to get around people that want to lift you up and support you. And actually, it's not an effort. They just literally are vibrating at that same level of intuition and care. They're like, yeah, keep going, keep doing the right thing.
Right. And a good friend is that type of person that, if we do slip, they're not trying to sway us from the path.
Right.
They know where we're trying to go. They're headed. They see the ideal you're trying to become, and they encourage you when you slip and fall. They actually help you get up, dust you off, and, say, hey, you can start again, or whatever it might be, so that they're helping to assist in the walk.
Yes.
Not, there are so many people that, like you even said before, sometimes we get on a specific path and they like try to push us off of that path, or they just separate themselves from us because they don't like the way that we're going.
Exactly.
But I think we need to take a quick break here for some messages. So please stay tuned as we continue this talk on spiritual relationships. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Conscious Conversations. We're here today having a conversation about spiritual relationships. And Wes, you just shared something in the break from Anthony Robbins. Would you mind just sharing that with the listeners?
One of Anthony Robbins' sayings is, the 5 closest people around you dictate the quality of your life.
Okay.
So you should look around at the most closest 5 friends you have and see what their goals and ambitions and how they actually live their life. And he says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to go to another room because you're not going to grow.
Yes.
And
And I think that's a wise bit of advice right there. So take a look at the closest people you have around you. You know, what are their ideals? Where are they striving for? What are they looking to, maybe how are they looking to make an impact on the world, make a difference? What is their motivations? What is their aspirations? And that can tell you a lot about yourself by those people that you choose to have around you. And I really believe it is important to take a hard look at the circle of friends that we have and those that we do consider our closest friends, because that really does determine the kind of person that you're moving towards or becoming. But I also am of the persuasion that it doesn't mean we need to cut everybody out of our life that is not like-minded with us.
Exactly.
Because, you know, just because somebody doesn't think the way we do, that doesn't mean they're our enemy. Just because somebody has a different opinion than us, that doesn't mean they're stupid.
Right.
You know, and I believe that in today's world, there's a little bit of where this is becoming an issue. If you don't think like me, I don't want to be your friend.
Right.
But I do believe that dialogue between people who are from different perspectives, different mentalities, even different spiritual paths, can help to enlighten each other, can help to awaken each other, can even help to encourage and stimulate each other to maybe even go deeper in their path because of the difference of perspectives. If we're all thinking the same way, if we're all just cookie cutters of one another, like you said with the Anthony Robbins thing, where is that growth?
Right.
And I believe people of different backgrounds, people of different religious faiths or different spiritual walks, I believe that they should talk with one another and not just cut each other off, because that can also be stimulation for you know, moving forward in our direction that we're trying to go.
Yeah, that shows a real deep maturity in yourself when you can communicate with another person who has opposing ideals and not attack each other. Right. And realize they're different in certain ways, and you still love them as a human being, because deep on the inside, past the skin part of you, is your holy temple. Right. Your divine self. That's no different than I am. Correct. So, same light within us all. Yeah, you go back to the spiritual rules. I'm throwing something at you, I'm actually hitting myself with it. It just takes a little longer to smack me in the head. That's all. Yeah. Right. Yeah, sometimes it's instant, though. Sometimes it hits you right away. Exactly. There's also, back to the quality of relationships. Yes. A lot of people, in my opinion, I've noticed in my life at times, they're plastic friends. I call them plastic friends because they're always there when things are going easy or smooth. But the minute something gets tough, they're like a cockroaches. They disappear. I've had quite a few of them in my life as well. So to have a tough, what I call a tough love friend, is one of those that has the wisdom and the fortitude and integrity to tell you at a certain time the words you don't want to hear because they can see clearly through your BS. Right. And they'll look you right in the face and say, hey, this is what I see happening with you. And this is not probably what you want to hear, but that's what's happening, and that's why X, Y, and Z is reacting the way they are. Right. And then, depending on how good your relationship is, they stay your friend or it becomes a war. But that's tough love friendship, I call it. Yeah, and you know, I think it's vitally important to not just have people in your life that tell you what you want to hear. Exactly. But tell you the truth. Yep. And sometimes the truth is painful. Yeah. Hard to take, hard pill to swallow at times. But if you got a friend that's that forthcoming and that truthful with you, that's someone you want around. Yep. You know, I also believe that, you know, another reason why just always quickly cutting people out of our lives if they are maybe an irritant to us is not always a good thing, because that person that is pushing your triggers becomes a primary factor for you to say, well, how well am I doing in my spiritual growth? Right. How am I developing? They become a barometer for us of how well our walk is going. And if we just have people that aren't triggering us, that aren't pushing our buttons, that aren't in some ways maybe even like a sort of rub with us, then, you know, it's very easy to plateau and not grow at all. You know, it's very easy for us to maybe on our spiritual walk separate ourselves from everybody, go sit in a cave and think, wow, I'm doing great. But are we? You know, the test is when we go back out into the world and then we get all these little pushes and rubs and triggers. Are we all able to hold our center? Are we able to hold our peace? And sometimes I think today that people throw people out of their lives way too quickly.
Maybe
Right.
that person that is your rub, maybe one, they're helping you, stimulating you to grow, which I just said, but maybe also two, maybe there's something, if you believe in the whole, karma aspect of stuff, maybe there's stuff between the relationship of you and that person that actually is trying to be worked out. And sometimes just cutting them out could be like a way to just say, I don't want to deal with this, when dealing with it should be actually what's happening.
Exactly.
No, I'm not saying that's every case though, but
Right. It's not all inclusive.
right.
But those are like your secret teachers.
Right. Yeah.
and you're absolutely on point, because as you grow and develop and get more mature with the way you respond, you realize they're triggering something in you. And when I say triggering, it's something that it physically makes you respond. You feel a pushback.
Right.
It's not just they're not somebody you care for. It's actually affecting something they're doing. It's hitting something in you. And the better and wiser way that I've approached that is to ask myself, what is it they're trying to show me about me?
Excellent.
Because everybody just wants to throw the rock at that person and say it's all their garbage, it's all their baggage.
Right.
I'm sorry, it's the boomerang. It's really something still in you that you need to take a deeper look at, because when you really get there, you can love anything that comes your way.
Absolutely.
But boy, I'm not there yet.
That's right. When you fully get to the height of if you want to call him a wisdom figure, enlightened being, a soul person who's totally spiritualized, those slaps in the face, those unkind words, they don't have the same reaction that we have when these things are directed at us. They respond in a loving, wise, compassionate way. And it does take a while to get there, but how are you going to be certain you get there unless you have that person to poke and rub you? So it becomes necessary in many ways to also have that person. There's a very funny sort of story from, again, just pulling on Eastern traditions, of a man named Atisha. He was a very prominent, high Buddhist Lama and teacher of the tradition. And he was, in Sri Lanka and also South India, and he was doing some teaching, but they were calling him to Tibet. And so he decided to go into Tibet and bring the Buddhist teachings back into the Tibet area. But he heard when he was going there that the Tibetans are such wonderful, lovely people. So he said, oh my God, well then who's going to rub me? Who's going to test me?
Right.
If there's just all wonderful, loving people, you know what? I better take that T-boy I know who is really irritating to me. Because if I go in there and I don't have somebody, if they're just, all wonderful and loving and they're just telling me this is great and everything, how am I going to know if I'm still on track?
Exactly.
But then he got to Tibet and found out that there's still people there that would rub him in here.
Right.
And they didn't really need to take the T-boy. But, that is an important factor as well. In these traditions, Buddha and Christ, they didn't tell their disciples and their followers, hey, go separate yourself from the world. Go live in caves. Go, become antisocial. They actually invited their disciples to be in the world. Go out into the world, Christ said. But he said, be in the world, but not of it.
Right.
So be out there, because those people will still become a benefit for you.
There's one story I heard. I don't know the names of the characters involved, but it was a monk or a priest that was very devout. And there was this thing put out after him to have him killed.
Okay.
And there's this elite samurai warrior that was stalking and hunting him down. And he was going to kill him because he heard he was so powerful and so strong that he needed to be taken out because he was a threat to whatever the government was at the time.
Okay.
And when he finally met up with him in the temple where he was praying, he came up to him and he says, I've come and I'm going to take your life. And he pulled out his sword, and supposedly the guy turned around to him and looked him straight in the eye and said, you're not going to take my life. I'm going to bow and give it to you.
Wow.
And supposedly the guy was so impacted with the courage and the truth of that guy's conviction that he became his follower.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very powerful story. And there is also another story similar to that in terms of Buddha himself, where he was giving a talk and someone came up to him in the middle of his teaching and spit directly into his face. And the monks and the nuns were getting all enraged and they were ready to leap and jump on this guy. But the Buddha just looks at the man and says, thank you, sir. I appreciate your gift, because what you've actually showed me in this moment is that I have overcome my anger. And, you know, there's another saying where the Buddha says, one who overcomes himself is greater than one who overcomes 100 armies.
Yes.
And so what he was saying in that moment was, hey, I could have freaked out. I could have attacked you. I could have beat you up. I could have my monks attack you. But really what you did for me was show me an aspect of myself.
Yep.
Show me that I don't allow that part to take hold of me anymore. And those are very powerful things. But I think we're coming to the end now. But I would like to say a big thank you to you, Wes, because you are one of my dear friends on my walk and my path. And I consider you a soul brother. Yeah. And I appreciate having you in my life.
Thank
because you do help me to stay accountable. Yeah, we talk and we have discussions like this, not only on the show, but outside of it. And it really gives me insight to many other aspects of my life. So I want to thank you for being that friend.
Thank you. It's mutual.
And, you know, again, I hope all of you have a friend like Wes in your lives, because they do help us to stay on the path. In many of the great traditions, you know, St. Francis had St. Clare, St. Teresa of Avila had St. John of the Cross, Rumi, the Sufi mystic, had Shams. They all had people that would help encourage them when they got discouraged, motivated them when they got low, helped them get up when they fell. And it's really an important thing to have a quality friend like that in your life. So I encourage you all to take a good look at your friends, see if you have somebody like that, and be grateful for them, and tell them you're grateful for them, because they're a rare commodity in the world today, which is usually skewed more in a materialistic point of view and perspective than a spiritual one. And I will leave you also with this one last quote by the Buddha, though, who did say, if you cannot find a friend to walk the path with you, then maybe it is time for you to consider walking that path alone, because they can sway you in the other direction. We thank you all so much for your time and attention. We appreciate all of you. Please, you know, go to the Conscious Conversations community page on Facebook, or just leave your comments below and let us know, you know, what do you think of spiritual relationships, having a spiritual friend, having a community that you can walk with, or, you know, what we talked about, having that difficult person in your life that can be the rub to help stimulate you. We hope that each and every one of your days is truly filled with an abundance of love, happiness, and peace, and we'll see you next Wednesday. God bless you all.